Hello, everybody. We have Jawna with us tonight. And Jawna, in 2 sentences, what was your business idea and how does it change the world?
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Yeah, my business idea is to bring the science of longevity to the masses. It's been something that has traditionally been a science and a sport for the elite. It's really only been for wealthy people have had access to how to optimize their health or really how to understand all of the different systems in their body. Some people approach it to want to live to 150, and many other people like myself approach it in a way so that they can just live well today, tomorrow, and hopefully decades to come. So that was my big idea. And the other big idea was to take the way that we use wearable and lab data today, scientific data, and democratize it and bring it to the people who are actually providing this data and all of this information, and giving people the ability to monetize it, to determine how that gets used for research, and to be able to give them some control over their being. So those are my two big ideas.
Excellent. And what was the moment, the trigger, when you get from this idea in your mind to that breakthrough? Okay, let's make a business out of this.
It was when I was struggling with my own health. So I used to work in Fortune 500 in venture capital, and I've also been a founder before of a tech company that exited. So I've been on both sides, and now I'm also a founder. I'm a founder and a scientist. And it was when I was sort of in the midst of that venture capital and Fortune 500 worlds where I was struggling a lot with my health, but I didn't actually realize it. Even though I have this background of and this knowledge, I didn't realize that I was in an environment that actually didn't align with my values. I don't blame anyone else for that. I'm just saying it was like an own, perhaps, lack of clarity and awareness on that.
Mhm.
And I started to face challenge after challenge after challenge with my own health. And it just sort of led me to go in circles, and I got bounced around to many different doctors and clinics. And I would just say, like, it wasted a lot of my time and life force energy. And that's when I realized I'm going to use myself as a case study, be my own case study. And I'm just going to dive deep into all of this. So that's how it all began. They say, what did they say? Necessity is the mother of all invention. It was necessary for me to be able to get that clarity, to get those answers, and to, yeah, begin to live a life that was more aligned with who I was and what I was doing in the world. So it began with me and my own challenges.
Mhm. Okay, great. And what was some of the biggest challenges when you started with the business?
The biggest challenges were, I guess they were in different categories. Some of them were having former colleagues, and I hear this challenge a lot on LinkedIn, is people care so much what their former colleagues or other people think what they're doing today. And I would just say I had those same thoughts, like what will my former chief revenue officer think? What will my former CEO think? And the reality is, most people are rooting for you. Most people want you to win. And if they don't, that's okay. You just move along and don't waste a lot of time and energy worrying about it. But people are so worried about themselves and their own lives that I know for a fact they're not sitting around criticizing or mocking. And if they are, they're probably not your person anyway, and that's okay. You can just disengage and move on. So I would say just that whole worrying what other people think, just let that go, because that just does nothing for you and it just wastes your time and energy. And some of the other challenges are when you go from working from a big Fortune 500 or venture capital, it carries a lot of clout having those brands and names next to your name, because when you DM someone or call someone or they look you up on social media and they see that you're leading something at a Fortune 500 company, it's an immediate credibility check for people. And when you do something on your own, you have to reestablish yourself as that instant credibility check. And that definitely doesn't happen overnight. And so, yeah, that's my thing. And coming on social media, like everyone, I mean, I think you'd have to be disconnected from the world today if you don't participate in it some way for your business, right? Is I wanted to find ways to reach other founders and executives and people like me that have lived similar journey, to be able to serve them and help them. And so I decided that after experimenting, because I've been on every social platform, contrary to what I originally thought, LinkedIn ended up being the best place for me. And so I've just gone all in on LinkedIn. And it was late 2024 that I discovered Yasmin Alich and started learning from him. And then he launched a community and a mastermind. And it was like I was there day one. And I know so many people talk about him. And like I was telling you before we started, so many people rave on and on about Yasmin. It can almost feel unreal or untrue when that many people say wonderful things about you. But I'll just speak from my experience. I mean, he helped change my life, and the whole Link Up community did as well. Because when you're a founder or an executive, it doesn't even matter, but it can get very lonely when you're building, right? When you're building something, whether you're at a Fortune 500 company or you're on your own as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. And everybody in that community, we all have this common understanding of that, right? And everybody's sharing their knowledge based on their own businesses. And then we're sort of going on this journey, learning this platform together. And yeah, I mean, I've met people from all over the world. That's how I met you. And it's just been incredible. And yeah, I just can't imagine doing it totally on my own. And that's just been a game changer for me. So I'm really grateful to him and the community and you for that.
So actually, we could say you didn't have a team, but you find a team in LinkedIn and LinkUp.
Exactly. I was going to say it's like they've now become my colleagues and accountability partners and advisors, like in a way, like informal advisors, because these are people like yourself, like people that have tremendous business experience, life experience from all over the world. And having that sort of multicultural background is very important to me, because I do work with people from all over. So yeah, it's like having a whole new set of colleagues all around the world and friends. And, you know, last year I went to Sarajevo in Bosnia and met so many of these people in person. And it's really incredible that you can just, you know, meet people like that and then establish what could be lifelong friendships. And, you know, actually researching community is part of my research. I'm a Blue Zone longevity researcher and neuroscientist. And the Link Up community is something that, like, I hope I eventually get the okay or to actually run a study on this community, because there is something really powerful about it. And yeah, it's not a mystery why it's so successful and why it works so well and it attracts so many amazing people. Yeah, I'm really not trying to make this a Link Up advert, but I would like to actually study the community, because I do think it's really fascinating. And I've seen some things in that community or in our community that I see in different Blue Zones around the world. And there's a lot of parallels.
Great. And you actually approach your business in the community way too, because you're offering.
I do. Yeah, I do. So last quarter, so you could say late last year, I started a longevity cohort. And it was sort of the first time that we had ever done it. So it was experimental. I'm a big proponent of building in public. I'm currently doing that now. And so the cohorts now that I'm doing, and the one that will be announced in March, it's a longevity cohort. The one that's being launched in March is also, it's a build in public, which means it's partially an experiment. So there's no guarantees. You learn as you go and you iterate. But the idea of the longevity cohort is the longevity industry it's basically the economy. It's 33 trillion with a T, $33 trillion. And all of us participated in some way, shape, or form, usually in a very intentional way. But there's also a lot of noise out there, and it is not a one size fits all approach for sure. So I wanted to bring longevity to the masses to help people really understand how it can apply for them, how they can leverage it, because not all of us have 6 hours a day to listen to podcasts and read books and, go to clinics. I mean, I wish we did, because I love all of that, but founders especially, and you and I are both founders, so we know this. We want something that applies to us, that's succinct, that we can take away, it's timely. And so, yeah, I'm launching this cohort next month. It's 4 weeks long. It's live. It teaches, specifically, it's for founders and executives, that teaches them the 5 different pillars and systems in the body, and how they can understand that for themselves, so that they're not needing to experiment with, oh, I should be doing this because this person said it. I should be doing this because the reality is, what you need, Robert, and what I need could be very different based on our genders, based on our backgrounds, based on our biology. And yeah, I just want to help founders actually reclaim their time, their sovereignty, and not necessarily turn longevity into, living to 150, although I actually do think that's entirely possible, and we're very close to that, and maybe even longer. And it's not science fiction. It's just, people just can't wrap their heads around that yet, because we've always experienced that mortality is just part of life, right? But now we're at the borders of, maybe that's not the reality anymore. Reality is changing quickly. So yeah, my goal is to help founders just be more efficient, feel better today, tomorrow, and to be able to build for decades, to be there for their families, and to not treat health as a side project, because, if you ignore it, it does catch up with you. And it doesn't matter your age. I mean, I work with people that are 25 years old, and yeah, so longevity is not just for, tech guys that are 55 plus. It's for everybody. And maybe we should even find a new name for it, because I think there's also a leadership expectation that if you're going to be a strong leader, whether it's your business or some other company, you actually need to be healthy. And it's not just about six-pack abs, but your brain and your body need to be healthy, need to be aligned. Because, if people are going to trust you, they need to feel safe around you. And so having a regulated nervous system and understanding the body is not something that will be for just a few people anymore. I mean, it's all over social media now. So people are getting smart about these things.
Excellent. I agree totally with you. You said you have the cohort that is 4 weeks long. So what is the main goal? What do we achieve in these 4 weeks?
Yeah,
Because I think actually what you're doing is lifelong, not just 4 weeks, but what can we expect in 4 weeks?
Yeah, so the 4 weeks is, and again, this will be our founding member launch. So it's special because this is the founding member launch. We are building this in public. So part of it we will learn from, and we will iterate and modify based on what founders and executives share with us. But people will learn the 5 different pillars within their body, such as metabolic health, cardiovascular, hormonal, inflammation, immune, and then learn about nutrition and environment. And once people understand that, without needing to get a medical degree or without needing to get a PhD, just understand the basics, and that most of what they're learning today through AI, most of that data is conducted. I wrote a post about this. It's conducted from men and mice, because in the scientific world, it was not required until very recently that women be included in the studies. It's just how it worked. Everybody sort of accepted that for a long time, and now people are pushing back, because, we are 51% of the population, so we definitely need to have some data on us. So the good thing is things are changing. So yes, just to get back to your point, people will learn about those 5 different pillars, And they will also get to do exercises with us. So, and when I say exercises, I mean if somebody has a blood panel that they would like some help interpreting, because today you can upload that in, let's say, GPT Health.
Mm-hmm.
I would say in a general idea, that's a great concept in general. I love the idea because it helps so many people just, first of all, care about their health, because people didn't always care. So I think that has started a great conversation. But you need to remember that when you upload something like that into GPT Health, it's biased data. It's not like, so if I uploaded mine, I'm getting compared to men and mice, and they don't menstruate, they don't have cycles, like there's so many different things. So people will learn that there is no one size fits all. They will walk away with understanding what can work for them. They will understand a little bit about their metabolic health and how important that is. And it's not necessarily just about eating sugar, not eating sugar. Pretty much everything we eat, well, actually everything we eat other than water, will give you an insulin response in your body, which insulin is a hormone. It's tied to metabolic health. So people will learn these basics, and they just learn how to navigate what works best for them, so that health doesn't have to become this side project. It just becomes part of everyday life. So yes, we call it a 4-week-long cohort. It's an introduction. And based on the feedback we get from that, we will have other programs and cohorts, because it started because people were texting me, founders and friends and, people from the tech world were texting me or DMing me saying, hey, what do you think of this product? What do you think of that? And I just realized, wow, it's like a consumerism trap. And most of the products that were being pushed, some of them could be wonderful, but for the most part, you don't even know if you need that. You're just adding, the first goal should be some subtraction. Take certain things away and see how your body responds. So that's a long-winded way of saying they learn those 5 pillars, they learn what works for them. They also reclaim a lot of time and agency, because, founders and executives and people like yourself and myself, it's time. Time is the biggest constraint here. And we all want to buy back our time. So part of what I teach is allowing people and helping people buy back their time, so that they're not living in chaos, and that they can run their business well, that they feel great today and tomorrow and decades to come, and that they can show up for the people that they love, their partners, their children, and friends and family. And because, without all of that, what is all of this for if you can't show up for yourself and the people that you love?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent. And now you have another project that you're working on.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so this project I've been calling it the biological IP layer, which might be confusing. And I'm working on how to actually say that a little bit better so that people understand it. So basically, when we look at wearable technology, for example, so many people participate in this. It's like they use an Apple Watch or a Garmin or an Oura Ring. You name it, the products are just growing and growing. It's endless. Like I said, it's a $33 trillion industry, not just wearables, but like the industry at whole, like even beds and hotels and clinics. And there's so much data being collected. And the thing is, none of us really know where that data is going. And some people challenge me on this and say, well, I don't care where my data is going. That's fair. I'm not trying to appeal to everybody, but there are people that care that where their data is going. They care whether or not their biological data is being used to fund things like military R&D. Some people are very against that. They would like the ability to opt out. And today we don't have options like that. And people have just accepted this because they don't know how to get around it any other way. So they just, by default, accept these behaviors that they don't like. And I've been in the blockchain space for 10 years, and the technology allows us to do so many things that so many people can benefit from. And one of them is having that sort of ownership and control over your data, whether it be your biological data, your financial data, you name it, just your data that is pertaining to you. And, blockchain is not a trend. It's like AI. It's just part of our world. And, when companies like BlackRock, Fidelity, JP Morgan, Shopify, Walmart, Circle, when sovereign nations adopt, blockchain and cryptocurrency as their de facto currency, this isn't going anywhere. There are new guardrails, new legislation globally for this. So it's just going to be part of our everyday world. Like 500 million people and growing daily already use blockchain. So this is not some fringe. It's not just for like, what do they say? Crypto bros. Like, no, and I'm not part of that world either. I don't subscribe to that. It's just a technology, and that's how people should view it and can adopt it. So my project is a longevity layer that sits on top of the blockchain that allows people to take whatever they want, whether it's their wearable data, their lab data, any other things pertaining to biology, to be able to control how that data is used, how it's aggregated, if they would like to participate in research or not, and if they would like to have the ability to monetize that. And that's something that doesn't exist today. There is a couple of wearable companies on the blockchain that are doing some of this today, which is so inspiring. So it's not entirely new. It is being done today. And people are starting to wake up to the conversation around privacy, because agentic AI also not going anywhere. Like, that genie's out of the bottle. We're all so excited about it. We're all using Claude. Everybody's setting up agents. But what we are quickly realizing is, wow, I just signed away my entire laptop to Claude or whatever, right? So that conversation about data, consent, and privacy is being forced on everybody anyway. So in a way, I'm like so grateful that Claudebot and all of that came out, because it makes the conversation that much more, I think, understandable for most people, because for the most part, everybody it's true. Like, people enjoy convenience more than consent or control, right? Like, we're just used to that. Like, oh, we gave everything to Google.
Yeah.
Right. Or we gave everything to Meta. And the thing is, once you do that, it's really hard to go back. But the truth is, we've seen this in the blockchain space. Same thing happened. It was so forward thinking for so many people, and so many bad things were allowed for a long time because there weren't guardrails or legislation or any like ethics or policy people in place to manage or control it. And that's what's happened with AI. And the reality is, in the blockchain space, it finally found its way. There's regulators, there's policy people. Things over time, when they get big enough, they introduce a certain level of formality that requires mass adoption, just like we're seeing with agentic AI, and same thing happens. So yeah, that project is a blockchain-based layer that will sit on top of wearable biological data and allow people to do what they want with it, because today you actually have no control. You pay $400 for, I'll just say, a wearable ring. Then you pay a monthly subscription. Think about this. You pay a company a monthly subscription for them to own your data and build new products and capitalize. And I just think it's time for a change. Just because it's always been that way doesn't mean that it should always continue to be that way. And I think that once people start to realize they actually have some agency and control over this, people will speak up and they will begin to participate in products and technologies that benefit them as well. Because, I mean, we've already seen this story play out, right? With all the big social media platforms. So yeah, that's kind of what brought that on, is hearing people wish they had some agency over, like, why are they paying monthly for this company to own their data? And that's really where the idea came from. And also because of wearing like a continuous glucose monitor, because I was trying to access the data and we couldn't get it. because it's all controlled by basically one central place. And that sort of started to bring up these questions about, hey, wait a minute, what if I would like to have access to that data? I can't because they control it.
So this is already live, already working?
Yeah.
Well, great.
Yes, it's in, you could say, like, test mode right now. Yes. And after we hang up here, I'm headed to a conference in San Francisco to talk with some founders of different AI technologies that are built on decentralized, so built on the blockchain, because all of the AI tools that people are using today are centralized, meaning you've just given everything away and access. And yeah, and I just am a big believer in decentralized technology, because I don't think that one person or three companies should be in charge of how the world works. I just feel like we're too big and too smart, and there's too many of us to allow that sort of model to exist anymore.
Agree. Yeah. Okay, let's talk a bit about business or entrepreneurship to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what surprised you the most in this entrepreneurial journey, in a good or in bad way? Perhaps compared to the past where you were working in the big corporations.
Yeah, I don't think that I'm the first person to say this, but for sure it's lonely when you're an entrepreneur, because yes, your family and friends will always support you and cheer you on or anything, but for the most part, the entrepreneurial path is not something that everybody chooses. And so it can seem very risky or unusual or unconventional. And so many people will project their own fears onto you by saying, are you sure that's what you want to do? Are you sure that's the smartest thing? I mean, you're foregoing a 401k, and, I've learned that most of that is just their own fear because they didn't choose that path, and that's okay. Everybody's different and has a different path. So I would say that sort of surprised me the most, is sort of like that loneliness that you can feel where, wow, nobody really understands you, even if they're smiling and congratulating you. And that's why I ended up finding like the Link Up community, because it was a mix of executives and Fortune 500, but also a lot of entrepreneurs. And being around that kind of energy is just, it's so contagious. It is inspiring. We all help each other. And yes, we help each other with the LinkedIn stuff, but it's like, I might go to somebody that I met in that community and then ask them what they think about something in a business capacity. And so it's almost like having access to so many amazing advisors that normally would take years to cultivate and find those relationships. So like I said, I guess that surprised me, because you want to believe that you can power through anything and that loneliness won't affect you. But that definitely hit me. And also being somebody that is sort of location independent, digital nomad or whatever, researcher on a sailboat, having connections is really important. Yes, you have your family and friends and stuff, but having those sort of colleagues, that digital footprint of colleagues around the world, has been really, really helpful.
And what would you say is the best business advice, if you can choose one, you received?
Well, I'm not sure I would give anyone advice per se, because everybody is different and some people don't like advice unless they ask for it. I would just, for me personally, it's very, very important for me. So if this applies to you too, great, is to be passionate about something. I can't just be passionate about something because you tell me to. Like, I actually have to have a personal passion about it. That's what wakes me up. That's what gets me excited. That's what keeps me talking about it. So for me, and for anybody else, I would say, if you're the type of person that can just go search Reddit for like the biggest problem that people are facing today and there's no solution to, if you can get passionate about that, great, go do it. There's already formulas out there for how to go and make that successful and build a business on an existing problem today. For me personally, I needed to have something personal tied to it. And so my own personal journey of health challenges, and then also realizing that being in those environments, like Fortune 500 environment and stuff, was incredible. I learned so much about people and hierarchy and how to navigate and traverse large organizations. But I realized that wasn't really for me. Like, because living and working in those kind of environments is really a lot about, well, it's just very hierarchical, and you have to ask permission to do everything. So I think it's a wonderful way to learn, but I learned that it wasn't for me. And so, yeah, the best thing I could tell people is listen to your own body. It will tell you what you like and what you don't like. It's just, we all get so used to society in school and everything teaches us to favor logic over how we feel. And so most people don't ever really tap into the fact that they dislike their job or they feel sick every Sunday night because they're anxious about Monday. That's a sign. It's not a sign that you should quit, but it's a sign that maybe you should be doing something else and it's worth exploring. So yeah, I would just say, like, the best advice I ever got is, like, trust yourself, like really trust and listen to yourself.
So if you would give yourself one piece of advice to your younger self, would you do something different? If you would start again.
I think about this question a lot, actually, and I've done a lot of research on this topic. I wouldn't change anything because, first of all, I can't. So it's not even worth it for me to go back and do that to myself. It would go right to what I just said. I just believe so strongly in believing in yourself. And sometimes it takes getting burned. Actually, it definitely takes getting burnt, getting hurt, getting heartbroken, all these things, whether it's personal or business or a mix of both. That's how you learn. I mean, you can read every book, every podcast, you can talk to experts, but it is part of the human experience that you actually have to, I call it going through the fire. You actually have to go through the fire on some things. It is, I'll just say as a neuroscientist, it is how we evolved as humans. And yes, we are merging with AI and we will be humanoids. And I realize that may sound ridiculous to some people, but it's already happening. Yeah, you have to go through the fire a little bit. And I would just say, trust yourself, learn to trust yourself, learn about the science of intuition and that it's not woo. There's a ton of science on this, and listen to your body. Because I will just say that, listen to your body because it is always telling you something.
Okay. And what would you say was the most rewarding part of this entrepreneurship?
It's going to sound cliche because I hear so many people say it, but it is about owning your time and having the ability to, like, I just remember when I was first employed and young and like 20 years old or 21 years old. And I remember seeing my boss get up in the middle of the day, take a phone call and just leave. And I remember thinking, oh, how did he just do that? Like, he didn't ask permission. So for me, having the ability to own my time is so important to me because I love the idea of being able to be spontaneous and, you know, a friend or family member texts me or calls and says, do you want to meet for coffee? Or I get a message from somebody that I met at a conference a year ago and he DMs me. This is how I'm going to this meeting shortly, is he just said, hey, I'm in San Francisco. Can you meet tomorrow? If I were at a big company, I couldn't because, right? And there are so many benefits, by the way, of being at a big company. And so sometimes I miss it also. But yeah, for me, it's owning my time and having the ability to, like, wake up on my terms. And I guess it's about feeling like you carved out some agency and control in your life, because so many of us feel like, yeah, we're on a hamster wheel, and knowing that you're not feels pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are really content with that somebody else is taking
Oh
agency
yeah,
in their life, and but I think the others are entrepreneurs.
exactly. And there are times where, like, I look at friends or family members that work, and I used to work at those companies, so I can totally relate to the structure, the credibility, sort of like the status that comes with some of these names.
Mhm.
But I also realized that I didn't fit in, because I never actually quite fit in. And I just sort of contorted who I really was so that I would fit in. I was like a chameleon. It was like, oh, you want me to be that? Okay, I'll be that. And then after a while, I just felt like, again, it's going to sound cliche, but it sort of felt like a betrayal to who I truly was. And I
Mhm.
just realized this isn't for me. And I'm grateful that it taught me so much, and that I made all of those connections, and that it gave me like a baseline foundation and education for business, which I'm eternally grateful for. But yeah, I feel like you're either one or the other. And if you're in that other world and you're constantly unhappy, or you don't really fit in and you don't live the same lifestyle as everybody, your body will tell you, like, it's time, it's time to exit.
Well, we're about the end. Any final
Yeah.
thoughts?
Just to say thank you, and for providing the platform and for giving me the opportunity to have the conversation. And yeah, my big thing is, I hope if somebody listens to this live or playback, is I used to be this. I just want to say I used to be the same way. Whenever I would hear somebody talk about health, or it always sounded preachy to me, and I immediately tuned out. And I would just say, if you have a tendency to feel that way, or to feel like, oh, I'm young, I'm fine, you probably are, right? You probably are. But my thought is, if your brain and your body are not clear and healthy, your relationships will not be good. Your business will not thrive. You'll just sort of kind of remain okay and fine. So yeah, my thought is, I hope people see longevity as more than just like biohacking, because it's really not about that. It's about feeling great today, feeling great tomorrow, being excited about waking up. And yeah, sure, having a good runway for the rest of your life. That's how I would hope people see this, because I'm definitely not like a health preacher. And I don't, based on my experience, it's not how people adopt and change their life. It's not being lectured to, it's giving people the opportunity to participate and see actual results for themselves, whatever result that is, whether it's more energy, more time, weight loss, off medication. You need that experience to keep you going, so that it becomes just a habit, like brushing your teeth. That's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all the knowledge you shared and everything you told us. It was a lovely talk. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, thank
Very
you
much.
too, Robert. It's a pleasure, and I'm so happy that we met. And thank you again for the opportunity.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.